So for you, you are constantly slamming together new ideas. So for example, fashion is one of those things that's completely lost on me. If you're watching the video, I am wearing gray socks, gray shoes, gray sweatshirt, gray t-shirt underneath my gray sweater, because it's not something that ever has struck me. But I see the stuff that you put out there, and one of the things that it makes me think of is like the future. So the other day you put out some stuff about these women wearing these crazy costumes. And you were like, if I were running the universe or the galaxy, this is the costume I would wear. And I was thinking like an Isaac Asimov kind of futuristic. And I think, wow, that is so important. How in the world did you collide in with fashion and have it be something that you want to interact with and play with?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's super interesting in terms of the amount you're able to communicate before you talk to somebody even about yourself with what you're wearing. And like even that tweet of what I would wear if I ruled the galaxy, it's not something I'm gonna wear on the everyday basis, but I think that the exercise of thinking about like what is the most compelling outfit for me as ruler of the galaxy or whatever it may be is sort of a fun thing to think about, whether that's like you and your gray outfit, which fashion interested people would call a grout fit, very popular right now. Like you may have been unknowingly compelled by this trend, who knows? It's just something very interesting. Even to go back to that, like, and the iconic line from Devil Wears Prada, everything you're wearing in fashion, even people who often think that they're like removed from fashion, are like in this sort of like referential universe where it was informed by history and this designer who was, you know, thinking about this major movement in artistic expression, and all of these things all come down to ultimately often decide what you see in this like random retail store you may have just chosen because it's near your house or something like that.
Yeah, all I mean, it's kind of like I Pencil. Are you familiar with this like poem of
Yeah.
like how things come together? When you think about fashion, you can't even wrap your mind around it really. Like you start seeing like how textiles work and how every single culture has some form of textile, which means that if you look around the world, the variability is off the charts.
Yeah, textile sciences and material science are also super interesting to me. I was in Istanbul this past summer, and it was really cool to go. A lot of their art museums have so many more textile centered pieces because textiles are obviously like a huge part of Turkish history. Yeah, I think that area of it, that's also like another area that combines my two favorite things, which are sort of science and art, where you're really getting down to like both the utility of the material itself. Like, is it stretching the way you need it to? Is it helping you like move better? But also this very like beautiful tradition oriented, family oriented practice that's been handed down over centuries. Just a very exciting field in general to me.
Yeah, the St. Louis Art Museum is like a national treasure. It is an amazing art museum right in the center of the country. And downstairs they have this textile area. And if I had not met my mentor, Pete, I would have just been like, who cares? It's a rug, right? But he would always take a tablecloth, like if we pulled something out, and he would hold it up and he would like fold it over to see like how close the thread were put together, or how did the machine go together to knit it. And it's like all of these things that surround you, but it's just like water. If you've always been swimming in it, you don't realize how much thought and ingenuity and industry went into it.
Definitely. I think that's also at the root of so many things I'm interested in, which is like everything around you was designed by somebody, and often somebody who studies these systems of objects, and like the way your shelf is made was formed by a variety of factors you can't even begin to like probably think about. And that whole world of certain like hidden language, hidden systems, hidden influences is very interesting to me. I think aesthetics often overlaps with that because people are like, oh, they made it that way because it was pretty. People will buy it because it looks nice. And even then it's like, why do people think that looks nice now? Why would people not think that looked nice 100 years ago? I don't know. I want to find out.
Yeah, and fashion is one of those things that it changes so much that what is considered classically beautiful or classically oriented, I mean, maybe that lasts 50 years, right? If you go back to what would have been classic 100 years ago, it would be so far afield from our aesthetic that we would be appalled by it.
Yeah, it's true. And I think high fashion right now is also sort of like pushing back against a lot of this stuff. It's interesting, like a lot of there's a lot of movements that are almost like anti-luxury luxury, and I'm not exactly sure why this is happening, but there's so many brands where it's like, it might be the t-shirt that just says like a single line of text across it, and you wouldn't know that it's something that was like $500 or $1,000 unless you're sort of like in the know, which is also, I don't know, I find that movement fascinating.
And like we were talking about this before, you think this is because there was such a strong pushback from celebrities and stuff that were like, we're all going through coronavirus together. However, I'm in my mansion.
Yeah, I think some of the sort of like pajama and loungewear stuff, especially, there's been a lot of articles about this like sudden rise in prominence of these tie-dye sweatsuits that a lot of like either fashion icons or sort of very wealthy people are wearing. Well, again, yeah, it's this very internal signal of like, you and I both know that this is something nice, but it's not this super just resplendent display of my own wealth that's sort of like confronting you very aggressively in the way that is sort of rubbed a lot of people the wrong way in the face of coronavirus, I think.